Hi, everybody. This is John Murphy at Murtech.com with your daily news update. I'm glad you could join me. I got some great information for you on this Memorial Day weekend. Let's go ahead and click over here, Murtech on Rumble. This is the video you're watching right now. Let's go ahead and get into this. All right. Let me close out the live chat here and scroll down here and open the Show More box. And right here we have information from ACLJ Sekulow and Maria Bartiromo, Bannons War Room, and also from Doug in Exile. So be great to get into this. I have a lot of good information for you. I want to come over here and I'm going to copy in my chats or my shout outs rather. Put them right down here. Boom. Okay, so Summer 99 just started following my channel, and Debbie BS was busy today catching up, she said. She gave me one of the comments, I'm catching up. I guess she took a few days off, but anyway, Debbie BS commented on my episode 1599, and Debbie BS also commented on my episode 1570. Elaine Ann and Debbie BS commented on my episode 1571, and Debbie BS and also commented on my extra 355A and extra 355B and extra 355C. So thank you very much, Debbie BS and Elaine Ann, and also Summer 99 for following my channel. I greatly appreciate it. Let me go ahead and make this a comment now. Boom. There it is. There it is. Just like magic. Okay, well, let's get into this. ACLJ Sekulow unhinged broadcast host goes off as CNN agenda exposed. Okay. Let's take a listen here.
But I think we actually should hear the conversation that happened on CNN where this kind of rhetoric comes up, where you're like, certainly you're not saying that people that are against Israel are anti-Semitic. Saying this to someone who is Jewish, who is a witness to the murder, the cold-blooded assassination.
You said you looked the shooter in the eyes. Can you give us any sense of what you saw in him as he was sort of getting help and people were tending to him as if he too was a victim of seeing this?
What I saw in his eyes, I mean, I went to Columbia for grad school and I saw the same thing in his eyes as I saw in the eyes of all the protesters at Columbia. Nothing different between him and them. But they did not create this horrific shooting. They did not, they didn't shoot. They gave permission. They gave the permission. And they've called for this. They have called for Intifada revolution, which is the same thing he yelled last night.
Do you worry that there will be a conflation, though, of the two, those people who are speaking their mind, who really care about what is happening in Gaza, and those people who are like this person who did this horrific shooting, who intend to do harm?
A conflation. I mean, they're calling for Intifada. At Columbia University, they call for Intifada constantly. They're not quietly. They're loud. They're loud. You can hear it. They make recordings of themselves. So what's the difference?
Are you afraid?
Yes.
Yes. Are you afraid? Speaking how a lot of us are feeling right now. I couldn't agree with him more.
Just this journalist at CNN asking, like, are you worried there'll be a conflation? This is a person who just witnessed a hate crime against a targeted killing against people because they're Jewish. And he is Jewish and was a witness to this. And the journalist is saying, are you worried that people will conflate what this guy did with those calling for Intifada on campus? And it also the fact that they've so whitewashed the term Intifada as if it just means something passive. Intifada was violent terrorism against Israel from Palestinians. It was a wave and campaign of terrorism. So when you're calling for terrorism, like do you really get to nuance and say, no, we're calling for theoretical terrorism, not literal terrorism. So I don't want you to conflate what we're calling for here. We're calling for theoretical genocide, not literal genocide. So don't conflate what we're doing here. These two are different. No, words mean things. And you can't have it both ways and say, are you concerned, victim, here, that they're going to conflate what people are saying about you at your university with what this person did? No, because they're saying the same thing.
Okay. It's amazing here how the mainstream media, so they think if people just riot enough, call for death from different people, like for Donald Trump, calling him a Nazi, Hitler, all his followers are Nazis. And the same thing with these people. I mean, these riots on campuses where they take over libraries and try to start fires and shit and call for the death of Jewish people. You don't think there's somebody crazy enough out there to do it? Unbelievable. Let me click on this Rumble link and show you that this video does come from American Center for Law and Justice, ACLJ. I'm following the channel. I've given them a thumbs up. I hope you do the same thing for me. All right. Let's get back here and see what Maria Bartiromo has to say on tax code is more important than a short-term spending cut, GOP rep argues. It kind of makes sense to me. Now, I don't know. I know they keep kicking the can down the road, but the problem with this is Doge has tried and freaking tried again to show where there's waste, fraud, and corruption in the government. And these liberal judges are just standing in the way to keep these people from being fired that aren't coming to the office, people that they don't need to be dismissed. They're paying them just to sit around and do nothing, cutting out programs like circumcisions in some foreign African country and sex change operations. These judges are putting injunctions against Donald Trump and the executive branch from cutting this spending. So, what the hell? Let's see what Maria has to say. Oh, sorry. Let me do this again. Get back here. All right. I'm going to come over here, and I guess I forgot to update that link, but right here. There we go. Right there from Mertech.com. These videos I take from Mertech.com. Sorry, I forgot to update the link to this video, but right here's the video that we're talking about.
I've already said it, in its current state is completely unacceptable to me. What was not even brought up in the House debate are the numbers we ought to be considering. You know, everybody heard 1.5 trillion, right? I mean, that's paltry.
If the House version came up for a vote in the Senate in current form, would it fail?
Well, I would vote no. I think I have 3 other colleagues that absolutely would vote no as well. But you have to talk to those folks. He's going to have to embrace, I think, a smaller, beautiful bill, and then another beautiful bill once we get serious and do the work to return to a reasonable pre-pandemic level spending. So, again, I think this has to be at least a 2-step process at this point. I would have preferred a 3-step process. That's probably too late for that.
That was Wisconsin Senator Ron Johnson. He was criticizing the House GOP's big, beautiful bill after it passed yesterday, teasing the idea of a 2-bill process instead. But he isn't the only one finding issues with the bill. The Committee for a Responsible Federal Budget, President Maya McGinnis, says, quote, this plan is nothing short of a fiscal failure. It adds massively to the national debt, relies on timing gimmicks and false claims about growth. It fails to make the structural spending reforms that we desperately need. The fact that lawmakers passed this bill less than a week after America's latest credit downgrade and yet another worrying Treasury auction is especially maddening. I want to bring in Georgia Congressman Austin Scott. He's a member of the House Agriculture Committee. Congressman, And so well, let's talk about the agricultural portions of this in just a moment, because they're very important, I know, to your district. But at the same time, what do you make of those like Senator Ron Johnson, Maya McGinnis, who say that this bill did not do enough for fiscal responsibility when it came to managing and at some point reducing the nearly $37 trillion in debt that we're sitting on right now?
Sure. So we've got the White House for another 3.5 years, which means we control the agencies and we can do a lot of things through the agencies. And what we don't have is time to, get the tax cuts extended for the next 10 years if we don't push ahead with this piece of legislation. So I would have cut spending more than we cut it. I think a lot of Republicans would have cut spending more than we cut it. But the key to it, and you heard this in your last segment, is economic growth. And so the most important thing right now is that we get this tax code set for at least the next 10 years and hopefully permanently, and we don't see these massive tax increases on the American citizens and especially the American small business owner. The growth rate is key in this, and the tax code is what's going to allow that. And that's more important than a short-term spending cut. We can get some of the cuts through the agencies. I wish it cut more as well, but this is not a situation where, in our democracy, 535 people in the House and the Senate get everything they want.
Well, I mean, we're looking at some of the things that were a part of this. No tax on tips. No tax on tips and overtime. That was very important to the president. The extension of 2017 tax cuts, absolutely. What do you make of Senator Johnson's, though, talking about making this two different bills? And we also had Senator Langford on the show last week. He said this is going to be the end of July for the Senate. I mean, this is out of your hands now. But what do you make of the discussions now that the Senate's having about maybe doing this a little bit differently, and that this bill is going to be different?
Yeah, respectfully, I know the bill's going to be different, but I think two bills is a mistake. I would remind you, it passed in the House by one vote. Jerry Connolly, who was a personal friend of mine, who's a Democrat, passed away. Had he been there to vote, then all of a sudden we don't have the votes to pass the bill. So again, I wish it cut spending more. We can do a lot of spending reductions through the agencies. You look at what the Democrats did, where they gave the whole state of California a waiver from work requirements for SNAP benefits. That's totally unreasonable. We take that away in the House of Representatives bill. Do I wish we cut spending more? Absolutely. But am I willing to risk the tax code and therefore the economic growth of the United States of America over that? I would say no, because the deficit will actually be larger if the tax code is allowed to expire at the end of this year.
Well, this bill is
significantly better than doing nothing.
Absolutely. And again, and the other pushback that you hear was about the reelection, making sure that not only do we have the 2017 tax cuts continue, which have been very successful in the economy from President Trump's first term, but also the fact you had many members that were very concerned about the midterms. And you already have, like Rahm Emanuel has an op-ed this morning out talking about how they're going to use this bill against you, in the midterms. They're going to use this bill as their rallying cry that, that's why they want to obviously take the House back. But let's move on.
The American citizens spoke in November, and Republicans have the House, the Senate, and the White House. Mm-hmm. And Rahm Emanuel would do well to look at why his party lost, and that this country does not believe in biological men being allowed to play girl sports.
Yeah, the issues of immigration and all the reasons that we 100%. Have the complete 100%. GOP control. I agree with you.
I just got back. They were paroling people that literally had gang tattoos into the United States of America. Rahm Emanuel and that organization that's running the Democratic Party right now is about as anti-American as it gets.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to ask you about this. Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. released this very anticipated report. So it assesses chronic diseases that's gripped, American kids over the last few years. Listen to what he said.
Unlike other administrations, we will not be silenced or intimidated by the corporate lobbyists or special interests. And I want this group to do what they have to do.
My uncle tried to do this, but he was killed and it never got done. And ever since then, we've been waiting for a president who would stand up and speak on behalf of the health of the American people and say, there is no difference between good economic policy, good environmental policy, and good public health policy and good industrial policy. We can have all of them.
We are on track to sign multiples of SNAP waivers to get junk food and sugary drinks out of our food stamp system. I was in Nebraska with Governor Pillen, where we signed the first one an hour ago, with a half a dozen more coming down the line.
Congressman, your reaction to that?
Sure. So in the current SNAP system, you can buy candy bars, but you can't buy rotisserie chicken. So I think these are the types of changes that probably need to be made, where Americans, are able to buy healthier food, the same types of food that I buy at the grocery store when I go into it for my family. You go in Publix or you go in Walmart, and literally you can't buy rotisserie chicken. You can't buy soup from the hot bar. You can't buy the stuff that's actually healthy in the grocery store in a lot of cases, and you can buy the stuff that's not. So I think a lot of these changes are good to add healthy cooked foods to diets that people on SNAP can use those SNAP benefits to purchase. And I would suggest to you that, kind of our concerns from farm country, I would just tell you, production agriculture is extremely important to the health of the American citizens. And so some of the things that we're talking about, we need to make sure we're talking about what happens to the food, after it actually, leaves the farm. And I think it's got more to do with the fact our obesity and other things. Americans are eating out of the drive-through instead of at the dinner table with their family right now. And it's probably got more to do with the way we're choosing to eat at the drive-through.
And that goes back to the importance of our nation's farmers, family farms, and that goes back to your committee, the Agricultural Committee. Congressman Austin Scott, thank you so much for being with us. We hope you have a great Memorial Day weekend.
You too. Thanks.
Okay, and they're absolutely right. But I'm sure there will be a liberal judge, a leftist judge, that will throw an injunction against this to prevent the reduction of buying candy and soda pop and things like that, popcorn, potato chips, on food stamps, rather than using that money that the taxpayers give them. That's fine that they're underprivileged and they need assistance. But if they're going to get assistance, they need to use it the proper way. Don't you think? I mean, come on. Let me know what you think in the comments below. I think that food stamps should be used for food, not snacks. Just my opinion, I guess. Let me click on this Rumble link and show you that this video does come from Maria Bartiromo. I'm following her channel, giving her a thumbs up. I hope you do the same thing for me. All right, getting back here, let's move on down and see what Bannon's War Room has to say about tax code is more important. No, sorry. China's off switch. Natalie Winters on U.S. is susceptibility to EMPs. That's electrical impulse. So let's see what that's got all about. Okay, it seems like I'm not getting any sound through the video. Is that right? Give me a comment on that. I'm not understanding what this is all about here. I'm going to come over here to the main page and let me slide down here and click on Bannon's War Room and try this video again. Okay, let's keep our fingers crossed. Okay, I'm not understanding. This is really weird, folks. I can hear it through my headphones, okay? But for some reason, the sound's not coming through. Let me jump down here and check out this video from Doug in Exile. I don't understand why this happens, but let's see what Doug has to say. Mm-mm-mm. All right, here we go again. I'm not sure what's going on here. Let me try another video and see what happens with that. I apologize. I don't understand why one video you can get the audio on it and another video you can't. So that's really, really crazy. I'm going to come down here to X22 report and see if I can get some audio on it. I'm going to get past. Okay, well, it appears I can't get anything from X22 report either. I am going to try Devoy Darkins. On GOP drops bad news for Democrats with expulsion relations? Okay. Okay. Well, folks, let me say this about that. I have some great information here from Bannon's War Room and Doug in Exile. I invite you to please scroll down and click these links because I'm sharing this information out. I'm not sure why I'm having an issue here with the audio not coming through. As I said, I can hear it in my headphones, and there's a little bit of delay between between my recording this live stream and it actually getting out to you or to my phone or whatever. That's how I can tell that I'm not getting any sound because I've got it on my TV, this live stream, and I'm not hearing any sounds. So I'm assuming that you're not getting any sound too. And yeah, WBS did indicate that there wasn't any sound. So I apologize. I will come back and do my marathon live stream. I'll probably start that about 9 o'clock. Hopefully I can get this taken care of so we won't have an issue with this. But I do want to thank you for your time. And please listen to these videos down here in the description box because it is great information from Bannon's War Room and Doug in Exile with the auto pen scandal. So I do want to thank you for your time. This is going to be a short one today, under a half an hour. But unfortunately, my hands are tied, and I don't know how to fix this. So thank you again. Hopefully, I'll get to see you again later. About 9 o'clock is when I'll start my marathon live stream. So thank you very much, and may God bless.